Welcome to Unhinged and On-Call. I'm Dr. Chelsea, your resident veterinarian.
And I'm Trish, a registered vet tech who's seen it all. Each week, we're pulling back the curtain on the wild world of veterinary medicine, from late-night emergencies to barnyard drama.
No filters, no fluff, just real stories, real laughs, and maybe a little emotional damage. Thanks for letting us share the madness with you. Thanks for listening. We're super excited. We talked to Dr. Luke Bass today, and he had some very fun stories. He's an associate professor at CSU in their field service, and he's really turned that whole department around. It's quite amazing because we kind of get into like just supporting practitioners in veterinary medicine, especially equine. And so a little touchy-feely parts, and then some really funny stories, crazy things that happen with horses. So stay tuned, guys.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at VetCS, your go-to for veterinarian-developed CBD and wellness products for pets and horses. Founded by veterinary professionals, VetCS offers science-backed formulas made with premium hemp extracts to support calm behavior, joint health, and overall wellness, whether you're in the clinic or out at the barn. VetCS is all about helping animals live better naturally. Want to see what they're all about? Head over to vetcs.com to explore their full line of CBD products.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We're super excited to introduce Dr. Luke Bass, who's been a great friend and I would say mentor for a very long time. We're super lucky to have him. He's in an arena, which is very fitting for the equine practitioner. So Dr. Bass, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into vet med?
Thank you, Chelsea and Trish. It's a pleasure. I grew up in Southwest Louisiana on a cow and horse farm. Rode horses my whole life since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I did like little britches and high school rodeo, middle school through high school. And then I took a turn and went to college. So kind of left the horse world a little bit. Went to Louisiana State University. Barely survived the first year of a small town kid moving to a big city, but got through that. And then I actually moved to Colorado State University at that point and did a graduate degree in equine reproduction. And was super lucky to be around Elaine Carnevale and Patrick McHugh, some really good mentors of mine. And I got to see what they did every day and thought maybe that would be a direction for me. So I got super fortunate and got into vet school my first time, and then finished in 2007 from CSU. So just a quick little story of how I got into vet med, but I definitely wasn't thinking vet med originally, but sort of as things progressed, it sort of kind of fell in my lap and I was able to take advantage of some really fortunate situations.
Very cool.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
And now your wife works at the ERL, so it's like a kind of full circle deal.
Yeah. How nice.
Yeah.
And you're not.
Yeah. She's an incredible partner. And then at her work, she does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
So super lucky to have her. Have her side by side.
You guys are both badasses.
Yeah. Power team. Seriously. That's so cool. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so impressive.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know as much about the repro. How did you decide? Because you're boarded in general practice, and then he's a associate professor at CSU in their field medicine.
Oh, yeah.
And runs that kind of whole department. What do you still do repro, or how have you changed since those days?
I don't. I got into repro because I had some family in Texas that had a pretty substantial Western pleasure breeding operation that I got to spend a summer at, and really just kind of fell in love with veterinary medicine at the age of 22. But it was a way for me to sort of get a graduate degree, not knowing exactly what I wanted to do in veterinary medicine or with the horse industry. So it was sort of it was my backpacking in Europe. It was my 2 years to really grow up and be responsible and move away from everything I had known. I moved to Fort Collins and didn't know a soul. So it was a good growing season for me. I still enjoy repro, but to do it in a field setting for me doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my current job with having the reproduction
Sure.
specialist work where I work. So we'll do some preg checks and some foaling stuff, but we're not breeding mares on our service,
Okay.
and so I enjoy it, but it's okay not to have to palpate a mare 7 days a week for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
It's not,
Understood. Yeah.
it's not my jam.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Man.
Um,
Do you have personal horses yourself now?
no,
No.
we have 2 kids, which take
Yeah,
up
dude.
a lot of our
Yeah.
time. I did have a horse until several years ago,
Okay.
but I figured that's a good retirement goal. But currently,
Yeah.
we are number 1 and number 2 Uber for our kids,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
horses. There's not much room for horses right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. How
He's-
old are your kids right now? I can't remember.
Colby will be 15
Okay.
next month, and Jada just turned 11. So we
Nice.
are starting high school and middle school
Oh.
next week at new schools.
Oh,
So lots of transition is happening right now for the
Wow.
Bass family.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, that is a
Actually.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the Uber thing too. I have a 13-year-old daughter and she's like, "Can you drop me off at the mall?" And I'm like, "Well, sure." Yeah, we can go to the mall. So it's definitely like
So
a shuffle
I get
time.
lots of things done. I get a lot of things done in my truck as I'm driving with kids in
Yeah.
the back.
Oh
So
man.
it
Yeah.
works out pretty well.
You
Cool.
have to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I know.
Well, yeah, tell us. I think you have some stories for us. Do you want to start with one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a story. This happened just before COVID. So I think it was around 2019. I've been thinking about this for a little while, and I actually drove by the site of this story a couple weeks ago, and so it came back to my memory. But I was in Fort Collins, so the vet school there is sort of in the middle of town, very suburban type town, restaurants, gyms, gas stations, the whole 9 yards. And so someone had come up to me, and as I was at pharmacy getting some supplies, and said, "Hey, there's a horse that has gotten out of isolation, and we need you to come help." And so this sort of ties into my history of being a roper in the past. And I was like, "Okay, let's go." And so the horse was unloaded into an isolation facility, but surrounding that isolation facility is a hurricane fence, and there's concrete poured. And so the horse was like a 2-year-old quarter horse, so about 800 to 900 pounds, not fully grown and developed, but getting there. The horse went underneath the hurricane fence in between that and the concrete, and from there proceeded to enter suburban life. So it started at a park called Roland Moore Park, for anyone who's familiar with the area.
Okay.
Went up Shields Road to a rather large intersection. At this point, myself and another person are in my vet truck, trying to find out where this horse is at, because there was the owner with the truck and trailer trying to find the horse. There was the emergency and critical care people also in full PPE
Yeah.
in
running.
Man.
July, chasing the horse on a gator, right? So in a side by side, they're chasing the horse. The owner with the truck and trailer is chasing the horse. And then here we are, attempting to find all these people. So
Oh my
um,
gosh.
I love
that
that.
was
I
interesting.
love that this is an ISO case, because for everyone
Yeah.
listening, like, these are supposed to be contained animals.
Right.
Was it a colitis? Do you remember?
No, it was a strangles that had a
Oh,
laceration.
Jesus. Oh,
So
dang
because
it.
it had strangles, it could not come into the hospital, but it just had a tiny laceration. So not sure why they didn't have us come out in the field and do this, but yeah,
Strangles
here
for
we are.
everyone. Strangles everywhere.
I love how you said enter
Right?
suburban
So
life.
the horse didn't like have an active strangles abscess.
Okay,
Like
okay,
it just
okay.
had strangles, but it wasn't like draining the
pus.
abscess,
Okay, yeah.
down Shields Drive.
Okay, good.
That's nice.
So we got to it at an intersection. We were able to locate the other parties that were on the team looking, and the horse ran completely in all 4 circles of this intersection through oncoming traffic, just
Oh.
like it's the Wild Wild West, right? And so my window is down in my truck. We got stopped. We saw the horse run by. Are y'all still there?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, my computer's doing some funny
That's
things.
okay. We can
Um,
hear you.
So we got to the horse. My window was down in my truck. We just hopped out. I grabbed the rope, and we're on foot in the middle of Fort Collins running.
Oh my.
And at one of the 4-lane roads, there was a Subaru that had stopped with a bike rack on the back of it. And he said, "Do you need a ride?"
Oh.
And me with rope in hand said, "Yeah, let's go."
Oh.
Um, so he takes me at about 35 miles an hour down the hill on Drake Road going west.
My.
At the bottom of the hill, there's a parking lot with said horse with a very prominent ECC professor still in full PPE,
Oh my God.
mask, gloves, gown, all this stuff.
Oh my
And I looked at her and said, "I think you could probably take that off now."
God.
But, I got the terrified F off look
Yeah,
back to
right.
me.
Yeah.
And the technicians were there, and they sort of had this horse, cornered, looking at me like, what next,
Uh-huh.
And so I've made enough guy mistakes in my life with roping. I knew if I was going to rope this horse, I could not hold on. I couldn't
Yes.
physically hold the rope in my hands without my hands becoming hamburger.
Yes.
So
Right.
I was lucky enough to rope the horse when I said, "Bring it to me," and roped the horse. And it then entered Spring Creek Trail, which is a nice, lovely trail that runs through the middle of Fort Collins with soccer moms, with runners, hikers,
Oh, strollers. Yeah.
full
Oh,
of Fort Collins Democrats, if you will,
yeah.
just out for a leisurely stroll. And then you enter Republican Wild West onto this, and you sort of create a situation.
Oh,
So
yeah.
horse runs under a bridge onto the trail into a bit of a corner. So it's
Right.
a corner of a fence. And I was like, okay, maybe we have something here.
Uh-huh.
And so I looked down to my left, and I think the good Lord had thrown a pole from the sky, and there was a pole sitting in the ground that probably had like 4 feet showing. And the horse is coming back and ends up stopping like, I don't know, 30, 40 feet from us. And there's I tried to pick out the person who had the biggest butt of our whole team. And I was like, "Hey, can you wrap this rope around this pole and just sit down?
Yeah.
I don't
Uh-huh.
need you to do anything else, but make your ass
Yes.
contact the ground, and that horse is gonna stop when it gets to the end of the rope."
Yeah.
I think at that point, I remember my truck come driving up. Some person who was on our team was like, "Hey, do you need your truck?"
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing was the window was down and the sprinklers had turned on, and so the entire inside of the truck is like soaked
What
wet,
the
which
heck?
wasn't that big of a deal. But then the person who's driving the truck is like got a wet butt,
Oh my God.
And so horse at that point runs to the end of the rope right in front of a lady with a stroller,
Oh.
hits the end of the rope and goes, if you ever watch calf roping on TV, like does a somersault,
Yes.
hits the ground. And then at that point, I think I had 2 boarded surgeons and a sports medicine
Jump.
resident. And I said, jump on it.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Hold the top leg, jump on it. And I am running to the truck, and there's a person at the truck, and I'm yelling, "Get the ketamine,
Yeah.
get the ketamine."
Yeah.
So we anesthetized the horse, and
Do
again,
you have a
the
scene
good
by
Lord
now?
delivered a flatbed truck to us.
Oh.
There's a flatbed truck that just appeared,
Oh my.
right, on Spring Creek Trail, Fort Collins, leisurely, still going,
Oh my.
still going side to side.
Wow.
And so we anesthetized the horse, and then it wasn't super big, so there was like 4 or 5 of us that loaded the horse onto the truck.
Holy cow. Oh my gosh.
And so we needed to take it back to the hospital from that point. And so, being a good field veterinarian, as most of us are, we took ketamine in case it started to wake up on the truck.
Right.
And so the resident, who was an ex-intern of mine, she was sort of sitting on the horse, but hanging. And so I took a lead rope and hooked onto her belt loop so she wouldn't fall off the truck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then we're going back up the hill. I had rode down the hill on the Subaru with my rope. We're going back up the hill. And so this lady is driving beside us. And I was like, no one is going to believe we are doing this. And so we get close enough. I toss my phone to her in the car.
Oh, thank God.
I'm like, "Hey, can you take a couple pictures of us? Because like we need some documentation of this,
Yes.
So she snapped the pictures, threw the phone back, like mid-drive, totally legal, right? So then to top it off, we get back to the big intersection that the horse circled, and the hospital director, so my boss, who was at the time, who's not here anymore, comes riding up on his like bicycle with a halter.
Thank you.
And I just look at him and he was like, need some help?
Oh my gosh.
A little late.
Yeah. We needed that.
And I looked at everybody and I was like, I think we got it. But can you toss that halter up here? We're going to need that at some point.
At some point, yeah.
And so at that point, of course, in the veterinary world, like when horses, their respiratory rate increases, they get nystagmus, their ears start moving like they're getting light. Well, this horse had so much adrenaline going from running through Fort Collins that, of course, it was getting light at the corner of Drake and Shields.
Oh my God.
He was just blowing through.
So luckily, I pulled the ketamine out of my pocket. I had a needle and syringe in my hat ready to go, and we had to bump it at a red light in Fort Collins.
Stop.
We bumped it and then took it back to the hospital.
Is that like an open container lot where you're literally giving ketamine on the street?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've had students draw up ketamine going across state lines before, so I'm pretty sure it's probably a whatever class 2 offense.
Yeah, probably.
Of doing that.
That's
But
probably like the most badass thing I've heard in a while.
Insane.
To be
On a
honest.
flatbed, you're just bumping ketamine.
And so we get the horse back to the hospital, and I was like, this horse is going to go on a tie line stall. So a tie line stall is one where the horse is physically tied to a rope that runs across the stall. So she can't jump out or go get out of here.
Yeah.
And so Strawberry was her name. She lived.
How many
She got adopted.
how many
her name.
lacerations did she have after this?
Yes, good
She
question.
came in for a tiny
None. Not a scratch.
What?
Stop it.
She's a rescue horse,
Of
right?
course.
They're like,
Of course.
they're invincible.
Yeah, they are.
She didn't have a mark on her other than the laceration on her head.
That
And
is
I
wild.
wish I'd have had my cold pack because I would have sutured her up on the flatbed driving back.
that
if
would've
I'd
been
had
she's
someone
down.
who
Great.
was with me.
Yes.
We could have delivered her back to her house.
Just slide her off
So
the
it was a
flatbed.
good story.
Here's
It was a
your
good-
Strawberry.
Take her home.
I feel like when I got done with that, I was like covered in blood, covered in sweat, walking to the hospital, and people are looking at me like, what's going on? And they're just like nonchalantly having their coffee, and I just keep walking.
You're just like
And I
roping horses. On
remember
Drake
going
and
home,
Shields.
taking a quick shower, and then my son's like, "Oh, it's we gotta get to a baseball game," and so off to a baseball game we
Oh my
went,
God.
and life
It's
goes
just
on,
normal life, right?
So
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? You have
Yeah,
that whole
no one else
entire
knows the difference.
experience, and then you have to just like go to a baseball
You
game
just-
and just return back to
Yeah.
normal mode.
and I took the biggest Yeti I could find and filled it as full as I could find it with a cold beverage,
Yeah.
and just sit back and enjoyed that baseball game.
Dude, you deserved extra large
Like,
cold beverage that
no-
day.
Nobody needs my help.
But
There's no animals.
the shitty thing about the whole situation was I had already went for a run that morning. Like I had already gotten my exercise for the day. But with that deal, like it was great teamwork, but I mean, we were wiped out. We
Seriously.
were just like patrolling through Fort Collins looking for this bloody horse. And I knew if the horse got to the next intersection where there's like 3 roads, I was like, we're screwed.
It's gonna
Like,
get hit
I've
by a
got to
car.
get this thing roped
Yeah,
now before something happens, right? Because if it gets hit by a
we're
ar,
done.
then the newspaper shows up,
Oh,
then
yeah.
then
Oh,
we're
yeah.
all in trouble.
Yep, exactly.
But I knew I had to get it roped and anesthetized and back before
Damn.
anybody found out.
Oh my
So,
God.
What was the time duration of that whole experience for you?
it was probably about an hour and a half. No,
Dang.
maybe an hour. It happened
So
pretty
fast.
quickly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was just a lot of running and a lot of just like running while swinging a rope has a different dynamic than doing any of those independently. So that added some flavor to it that I just haven't done in a long time.
Oh my gosh.
The pole is my favorite. That
Yes,
just
that's
appeared.
awesome.
The-
Oh.
yeah, God.
And
God sent
I
it
see
down.
that pole quite often and I chuckle because that pole's still there. And I don't know, there's no reason for it. It just was there. And I was like, thank goodness we had the pole, because if not,
Yeah,
we were just, we would have really had to,
You
we
can't.
would have had to get Western, but
Yes.
being able to capture the horse pretty quickly allowed us to sort of
Yeah.
get it on the flatbed before anybody else, saw us or took pictures or anything.
Right. Or baby got run over. Or
What did the
something. Can
owner
you
say?
imagine?
Like, What's
The owner was very
strawberry?
happy, obviously, that we captured the horse,
Yeah.
but they were driving behind the horse, and of course they forgot to like latch their trailer door. And so you've seen this before, Chelsea, I'm sure, and Trish maybe as
Yeah.
well, but the trailers, like the door is just like flapping in the
Oh,
breeze,
yeah.
ready to take out someone. And so they really were just taken aback by the whole situation.
Yeah.
But
Not helpful.
Yeah.
yeah,
You can't even
no,
close their
not
tra-
helpful at
Can't
all.
even close
They
their
Can't even
were
trailer.
close the
just
door. Oh my gosh.
they were just there to like be there,
Witness.
but they were not helpful
Oh
at all.
my
So
God.
Awesome.
Wow.
I'm happy. I'll send you a picture of
Please
the
do.
picture that we have of the back of the horse, and so you can maybe put this on
Yes, I can put it in the show
the
notes.
front of the
That would be
podcast, because
amazing.
it's quite interesting to see how many boarded veterinarians are on this flatbed with this horse.
I love that the
I think
PPE
there's
stayed
4.
on.
So
Yeah, the
Like you
PPE
have
on
to
is
run
great.
because it's ISO. Like you gotta run.
just in case, right? Just in case.
Oh my God.
Well,
That's
at least safety was
amazing.
put first.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important.
Oh my
God.
goodness. That's incredible.
Wow.
That was a good day.
Oh my
That's-
gosh.
That's a good one. You can't make that stuff up.
No,
Like
you really
where the
can't.
horse goes. Why would it run in all 4 corners of an
I
intersection?
mean, to get
Seriously.
out between like hurricane fence and concrete takes some talent.
Yeah, that
It just
does.
takes determination. Like that horse was determined
It
to
needed to get out.
leave.
What is the
Um,
space to get through? Like what, like size wise?
I mean, it was like 3 inches, but like a hurricane fence
Yeah.
is not, it's not secure
You can
to the
Right.
concrete,
kind of
so there
push.
was
push on it.
leeway,
Uh-huh.
and it gave it just enough force,
Dang.
and it was gone. So
It's wild when you think about how strong they are. Because
I know.
I had a client's horse colic bat a volvulus last week, and it just bashed the trailer. I mean, it had good meds leaving to get to CSU, and then the trailer was bashed.
Oh man.
It's just, you forget how strong they are.
Totally. Oh
When-
yeah.
when they
you
put-
don't expect those things and
Yeah.
then they just kind of happen and
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here we are.
It takes
Uh-huh.
brute force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Wild. Well, thank you
Well,
for sharing
I'm glad
that
you caught the horse.
suburban experience with us.
Yeah.
yeah, horse enters suburban life, and then has a joyride and was captured and secured back to the hospital.
That's
So,
amazing.
my
Team
God.
effort.
Yeah, way to go. That's so
fun
impressive.
times.
Gosh, you guys are a bunch of
I like the
badasses.
Subaru guy too. I bet he went
Yeah.
home and was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm a cowboy.
Yeah, that was his cool contribution of the day.
That's cool.
Thank you, Subaru guy
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah. Need a
being a
ride?
part of it.
Yeah, no, without that, I would have never made it to the horse.
Right.
It all just like
It all worked.
clicked into place like a puzzle,
That's
like it
wild.
all worked out to where it was like somebody was telling us, you need to go catch this horse and bring it back as soon as possible. And here's all the tools that you're
Yeah.
going to need to make this
Here
happen.
you go.
Oh wow.
The flatbed.
I know.
Why would a flatbed be there?
I know. That's
That's
those
crazy.
every piece of it, like you
That's so
said.
Well,
That's
and I
so
think the
wild.
flatbed was like a CSU vehicle,
They
and I
finally
don't
caught
know
up
like
to you.
why they brought it, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
But all these things just appeared, and you looked around, and you're like, oh, I can see how all this is going to go. From before the horse was anesthetized, you could just like see it.
Yeah.
If I do this, this will happen. We can do this, and it all fell
That's
into place
cool.
to where it worked out super well. Because if not, I don't know how we'd have gotten the horse back
What would you
to
do?
the hospital
I don't know.
once it
Hmm.
was anesthetized.
No,
I think we would have had to, get the truck and trailer somewhere close and like load it back
Yeah.
up. But it wasn't
Uh-huh.
an easy truck and trailer to do that with.
Yeah.
So it all worked out.
Way to
Amazing.
go. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
But
cool.
I think the hero was the girl, the girl with the big butt. She was like the savior. I mean, I was like, just sit down on it, and she was like, I got
Yeah.
it.
You need
No
that.
problem.
She owned it, and it was perfect, and it worked out.
That would be
super
me,
well.
man.
So
I'd be
to
like,
me,
I got
she's the
you. It's
MVP.
okay. I can sit right here. I gotcha.
She was the MVP for the day.
That is, yeah. Yeah. That's a very important role. I love that.
Yeah.
Man.
Amazing.
Is that do you have any others that you're like, because we've always said this on the show, like if you're ever just sitting at a table with somebody that's not veterinary, like and asking you what's the craziest thing that's happened to you, is that one of the stories now in your in your repertoire?
I think so. I mean, I think it has some dynamic to it. I had a horse that was stuck in a swimming pool
Oh,
in March, for like right during COVID, 4 or 5 years
Oh,
ago.
dang.
That was quite interesting.
oh my God.
And so that's a good. It worked out super well, but
Okay.
that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Showing up, and then everybody's looking at you saying, "What next?" And it's like swimming in the Titanic waters.
Oh
You
my
know.
God.
Yeah, because it wasn't fully frozen.
Because it was not fully frozen, but it was like a ranchette, and so it was like the pasture was super close to the
Oh
yard,
my God.
and they had a blue tarp over the pool,
Mm.
and so this thing just like
Yeah.
didn't know,
Yeah.
jumps in the pool. When I get there, the owner is leaving in an ambulance because she has hypothermia because
no.
she tried to jump in to save the
What was
horse,
she gonna
Nuh-uh.
do?
which makes logical sense,
Right?
to
What-
jump in and save a
She's
1,000-pound
leaving?
horse.
Oh
They
my
were the
God.
one firefighter was in the pool, in his like wetsuit
Yeah.
Oh.
gear,
Yeah.
and they were asking me to get in and sedate it, and I was like, "There's no way in hell I'm doing
No.
that."
No.
And so we ended up tying a bowline knot and putting a halter on it and like pulling it out of the shallow end
Right.
with some firefighters, and the police were there, and of course every neighbor was there,
Of course.
and that horse did well.
Okay.
But it's interesting how many of these situations, with hit by cars, are stuck in a pool or stuck in a ditch,
Yeah.
that you get to, and then everyone's looking at you like you're in charge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got to take
And
over.
I love that collaborative work, because everybody's wanting to help you.
Yeah.
That one in particular, we were able to get it from like its body temperature was like 90.6 up to like
Ooh.
98.7
Oh.
with some IV fluids and oral fluids and
Okay.
blankets and all that stuff. But the owner, I was like, "Hey, we need to take this thing to the hospital just to like let it warm up and let it have a night of peace."
Yes.
Yeah.
And the owner was like, "Well, how much is that going to cost?" And I looked right back at him and I was like, "You don't get to ask that
Oh,
question.
yeah.
We're
Less
taking
than your
it."
pool cost.
No
Like,
kidding.
God.
It's going to be like $700, but I mean,
Yeah.
like this horse was swimming in a pool for an hour. Like,
Seriously.
we need to take it just to kind of monitor it and just make sure nothing is broken.
Yeah.
Nothing is, there's no like exertional rhabdomyolysis or tying
Yeah.
up, just to kind of make sure everything is okay.
Of course.
And so that I really enjoy those types of crazy cases when you have
Mm.
other professionals that are there to help
Yeah.
and want to help.
Yeah.
That can really make a successful or a disaster turn into a success.
Yes.
Yep.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if there's a broken leg or something that you can't fix, at least you get there quickly and you help the
Help
horse
the animal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
versus it just suffering. And so we've had those before where they don't know who the owner is.
Oh,
The
yeah.
cops call like 2:00 in the morning,
Yep.
and you get there and the horse has an obvious broken leg,
Mm.
not going to be repaired,
Right.
and you don't know who the owner is. And so I've had situations before where you get a horse blanket, cover the horse, you tape your business card to it and wait for him to call.
Mm.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Which sounds
Yeah.
just horrible, but at least you help the
Yeah.
horse,
You
and
have
it
to.
didn't
You gotta
have to
help
stay
the
there all
horse.
night
Sure.
and suffer.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for.
And so I've had those situations where we're like walking, let's say one horse gets hit by a car, the other horse is still there, and you have to walk it to maybe a neighboring client and just throw it in their
Put it in
arena
their
and
pasture.
leave a business card at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of this stuff, but that's part of this job that I truly do love, because you never know what the call is going to be,
Yeah.
and you never know how dangerous or how heroic or how, what situation you're going to get into. But at the end of the day, you're trying to help people and help their horses, and that's what we're here for, and that's what we love doing.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, it just makes life so much more interesting.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I love that.
Never
That's awesome.
a dull moment with that.
Yeah.
No.
It takes a special person, to be an equine vet, to do what you guys do. Like, it's just, it's that like very specific personality to walk into something like that and be able to like he said, like everyone's
Just
looking at you.
Organize. and
yes, organize,
delegate. I mean,
delegate. Yeah.
Dr.
Mhm.
Bass is great at that.
Yeah.
'Cause he,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you put a cop to
Right.
doing this, you put a firefighter to
Yeah.
doing this, you
Mhm.
give people jobs and they
Mhm.
feel included, and so they're bought into it.
Yep.
And so then they'll do anything.
Yeah.
They just
Mhm.
need some direction
Mhm.
on how best to help the horse. And so I think we're lucky to have that support system around
Yes.
that really is free.
It
Like when the
is.
police or
Yeah.
firemen show up, you don't have to pay a bill,
Yeah.
but they can be really, really resourceful
Yeah.
and really helpful for like strength and for logic and just,
Yeah.
Mhm.
just intelligence.
Their other side of MacGyvering things too. Like they're used to
Yeah.
MacGyvering
Yeah.
and
They
like
are.
being really, out of the box with what they do. So when you meet that with animals and then you're there to be the animal person,
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool counterpart to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is well, and in those situations, it's like the
Mhm.
people's worst nightmare most of the time.
Yes.
And then you just help problem solve. And yeah, even if
Exactly.
it's not a great outcome, they still feel better that there's support there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is their worst nightmare. I completely agree. And I think you have to welcome that responsibility of, hey, I'm here to help.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to know each other in a minute, but like I got shit I got to get done
You gotta,
here.
yeah,
Like I got to
work
get a
fast.
catheter in this thing. I got to, I got to help fix as fast as possible. So
Yeah.
like I'll introduce myself as Luke and we're going to get to work and then I'll walk you through some of this, but some of this stuff we may just do without you knowing, but like
Yeah.
stuff's got to get done to save
Mhm.
your horse immediately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's wild about the pool. Why wouldn't you
I
drain the pool?
know.
This was in Colorado?
Yeah, in March.
This was in Colorado in Fort Collins
wouldn't they
and they
drain a
did not
pool?
drain the pool. Yeah, it's a great question. It was like spring break time, and here in Colorado, the spring break can either be 60
Yeah.
and sunny
Yeah.
or like snowing
Yeah,
and a
true.
blizzard. And
Yeah.
so there was more ice in this pool than
Then water.
water.
Ugh.
It was cold.
I can't believe they wanted you to get in.
Yeah, you're like, no,
Yeah,
I will not
and
be
it was
entering
not
the pool.
there was not a thought. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not
No,
doing that.
'cause
And
no.
I'm not a huge fan of like sedating a down horse or
Mhm.
Yeah.
sedating a horse that's in trouble. I'll give them pain meds,
Yeah.
but I want them fully awake,
Yeah.
Mm.
To work with you.
And I always like struggled in vet school learning how to tie knots. Like I just never could figure it out. But again, that day I must have had somebody on my side because
did
I
the
just
bowline
whipped out a
yourself.
bowline knot on that tail, and I was like, I don't know how I just did
That's
that, but I did it,
badass.
and
Hell
let's go.
yeah.
You know,
I am admittedly the
Um,
worst knot tire, but I don't think that I could pull that out. So.
I'm not a good knot tire either.
yeah, it's almost like just muscle memory. I think
Probably,
you
yeah.
just started going, and then it worked out,
Yeah.
and then we just pulled the horse out,
That is
and
so
we
cool.
got it some fluids, and I just gave everybody a job. And I remember there was being like a 13-year-old girl there, and I was like, just put his face in some hay, just get him eating,
Aw. Yeah.
And then I sent the mom inside to put some towels in the dryer, and I was like, well, in high school basketball, they used to put cold water on our wrist when we got really hot, so maybe we put warm towels on this horse's legs, and that'll
Oh,
help it warm up
hey.
faster.
There you go.
I like
And then
that.
I was told the dad, I was like, go inside and get me some scalding hot water. We're going to put it down his stomach
Yeah.
tube, and we'll warm it up this way. But I was like, let's give everybody a job, hit it from all angles,
That's
and
cool.
just see what we got in half an hour.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Man,
Yeah.
you're the guy to have on your
Yeah.
team
I know.
in a situation like that. That's for sure.
That's
Well,
good.
and honestly, like it's nice because you get 10 or 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to sort of run through this in your mind.
Mhm.
Like, what are my first 5 things I'm going to do when I get there?
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll like grab the drugs while I'm driving and draw them up. And so when I
Mhm.
get there, I can just boom, Banamine, give it Dex, give it sedation if needed. But like you just have to sort of be prepared and be ready and go through the first 5 steps, almost like preparing for a football game. And you just execute and you just go.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes, I think, a lot of fun when you have the experience and have the knowledge just to get things started, and then you sift out from there what you have. But I mean, we were using pitchforks to hold the fluids. We were using anything we had to
Yeah.
try to get this horse warm
Mm.
and comfortable. And so yeah, it is a lot of fun, but I think it's nice, as you said, to think outside the box and just react and go.
Yeah. Well, and you're teaching a generation of veterinarians as well.
Yeah.
Multiple. But
Right.
at CSU with
Mhm.
interns and students, you're getting to help them those like formative years too, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think seeing some of those types of cases really sticks with them.
Yeah.
I still remember some of the ones I saw as a vet student on externships, like trailer floors falling through
Oh.
and interns like getting a grate from a road drainage and putting, in the trailer. So I think
Yeah.
each person learns from just seeing. As a student, I don't know that I engage them a lot in these types of cases just because of for safety reasons and
Yeah.
for efficiency, but they get to see it and they're like, he did that, I'll never forget something. And so I did the same when I was a student, getting to see other people do stuff like this. And so it just kind of sticks with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So true. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What's your favorite? This is off the cuff, so you don't have to answer. Super, super great. But like, what's your favorite part of teaching?
Sorry, there's a couple dogs running in
That's
behind
all
me.
right.
My favorite part of teaching is to challenge and do something over and over and over, and then see them leave there with a skill.
Okay.
So I may challenge them to do something they're not comfortable with, but I'll try to repeat that experience over and over, where they then leave there being able to do something.
That's cool.
And then when they call me out of school and say, thanks for kicking my ass and
Aw.
showing me that I could do it. I
Yeah.
just needed a good kick.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what makes this job probably the best in the world,
Oh.
is having the impact on people
Mm.
and trying to make them better veterinarians faster than what I became. I feel like a
Wow.
good veterinarian.
Well, goodness, but I just think that there's probably we prioritize comfort sometimes
Mm.
over making people do the hard things that they eventually need to do on their own.
Right.
And to
Right.
have a safety net of, boarded professionals around you is amazing, and push them a little bit more in school. I mean, same for me. I don't feel like we ever had a really high pressure setting in vet
Mm.
school. And you got to learn
Yeah.
that. You got to
I
learn
mean,
that somewhere.
Mhm.
I will say I frequent concerts with Dr. Lukey and her husband, and we were at a restaurant, not with them, but before we met them. And I saw this sign one time that was like a neon sign that says "Pressure is good for you."
Mm.
And I think that rings so true for people learning skills. Is sometimes it takes a little bit of pressure,
Mhm.
but letting people do things and showing them that that confidence comes with with repetition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when they leave a rotation 2 weeks later and they couldn't pass an NG tube to save their life, but they've passed 10 of them and they leave there with that skill, I know I've helped them
Oh gosh, yes.
be
Yeah.
a good vet.
Well,
You know,
and as a person learning too, that feeling of being uncomfortable, like greatness comes from being uncomfortable because that
Mhm.
means you're on the way to doing something great, I
Mhm.
think, or that's how I
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
stuff usually. Like
Yeah.
most of the time when I'm pushed to do something, I feel extremely uncomfortable, right? But
Yeah.
you have to do it, like you said, repetition, just over and over and over. And then for you as the teacher to be able to see people like using those skills and in everyday life is really, well, in their profession is really, really neat
That's so
because
cool.
it's so needed right now too, especially for equine vets. Like
Yeah,
just
to keep
that.
people in equine,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
large animal period.
because they have
Exactly.
the knowledge, they just are struggle with the
Yeah.
how to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you can show them step by step and say, you're not gonna kill this horse, you're
Yeah.
not gonna mess this
Mhm.
up, but you need to sort of struggle to then know that you can do it and not just have me spoon feed
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yes.
does. And I'm the same way as you, Chelsea. In school, no one don't feel like challenged me. I didn't have many situations to where I felt like, I was sweaty palms
Right.
and I couldn't do something. It was just very spoon fed to you. And so I think trying to change that culture has been a little difficult from a academic standpoint, but I
Mhm.
think most people get on board once they see the results.
Yeah.
And once they, like we've had 13 interns in the last 13 years. Well, all 13 are still in equine practice.
Whoa,
That's
that gave me
awesome.
chills.
And if
That's
you can
cool.
find me 13 interns in the rest of the country that's still in equine
No
practice,
way.
let me know. But like
Amazing.
we put our interns through some really interesting situations to where they leave here and they're able to do everything.
Mm.
And so we as a team are very proud of that percentage, and we
Mhm.
want to just keep that going.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
I didn't know that.
Jeez.
God.
Yeah. That's really neat.
And yet I'd butcher the numbers, but it's like
Mhm.
the majority leave within 5 years. So,
Is it 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Oh.
that the numbers are 50% leave in 5 years,
Oh,
but I
okay.
mean, we're trying to change that. And
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
I've had a recent conversation with Dr. Jamie Urich, who was on your podcast,
Mhm.
and he
Oh,
actually
yeah.
hired one of our interns this year and is just loving her. She's
Yay.
working hard and busy, and so I think we just got to keep the model going and keep
Mhm.
keep pressuring people, keep challenging them, but
Yeah.
also making sure they understand they're valued and they're rewarded and they're part of our team.
Mhm.
That's important to us.
Yeah. That's
Well,
cool.
can I just tell you thank you for everything that you do? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you hear that a lot, but it's
course.
just, that's incredible to be the type of human you are, to care that much about not only yourself and how you teach people, but also just what you're putting out into the world in general is incredible. That's amazing. And you're doing a
Thank you.
lot for
Thank
the
you.
profession. So thank you for
Yeah.
everything that you do personally.
It's
I
amazing.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's great to hear
Yeah.
those. I was on the phone with a mentor yesterday, and she was like, sometimes it's just nice to hear you're doing a good job. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Heck yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's so true. And it's well deserved, like
For
100
sure.
timefold.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so cool.
That's cool.
That doesn't mean we don't make people cry when we're here, but tears are also good for growth. So it
Yeah.
ends up working out at the end.
Yeah.
So when they leave here, they are as ready as we can help them
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing.
It's so true.
One of the, I want to say it was last spring,
Mhm.
it might have been this spring seminar, where Littleton Equine does their CE for referring veterinarians. They had a really great speaker on resiliency, and it like, I mean, it's the things you kind of inherently know, but you don't think about is if you don't push yourself to limits, like you're never going to get more resilient. You're either building resiliency or you're losing it. So in teaching students and even practitioners in the middle of their career, end of their career, you just have to remember that you're one way or the other.
Yeah.
So making decisions based on that.
That's so true.
Yeah, and I think I've learned, when people get out of vet school, it's one thing, but they need a lot of just listening when they're in their first 5 or 10 years. Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing the best thing I can for this horse? And so I would challenge, any veterinarians that are listening out here, just kind of check in with younger vets. How are they doing? What kind of cases are you seeing? Because I think younger vets are sometimes harder to want to call and ask for help because they don't want to seem like an idiot or seem stupid. But I think there's a lot of situations where younger vets are just out there like treading water and they're just surviving. But if older vets, and they're over 10 years out in practice, if you can just call and check in on your people just to kind of make sure things are going well, I think that would go a long way. And just say, hey, you're good enough. Like, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
I think those little things can really make a difference for younger vets who are just maybe just kind of flopping like a colic sometimes.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long. It's hard. It seems like you're always too busy, but it doesn't take long to make a 3-minute phone call.
But a text message can mean the world to someone
text.
who's having a hard day or just, went through a hard case, and just be like, hey, I see you. I see the important things you're doing, and, just keep stacking, keep kicking ass, whatever you want to use. But I think we can influence a lot of people by just being present with them.
Very good point.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true.
Well, cool. Well, we don't want to take too much of your time.
Yeah, I could talk to you forever.
Yeah. I know,
so
hours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Of course.
Okay.
And y'all keep up the good work. I'm enjoying these podcasts. I think they're hilarious. I like that they're short and they're brief, but I like your interaction with them. So please keep going.
Cool.
Because I think they're exactly what some people need.
Oh,
cool.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you for
appreciate
listening,
that.
too.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
That's our
See,
mission.
I just showed you an example right
There
there.
we go.
Yeah. So we were kind of starting out just like, well, we'll see how this goes. We don't really, but that's the thing. You just jump in and do it and
See what sticks.
It's been so fun. So
It's great.
yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Well, thank you. Well, stay safe out there today.
Okay, gang. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Sounds good.
Take care. See.
Do you have a crazy story from your time in veterinary medicine? We would love to hear it. Visit us at unhingedandOnCall.com to fill out the submission form, or you can email us at chat@unhingedandOnCall.com. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe so you get all the latest updates. Unhinged and On-Call isn't just a podcast. It's a lifeline for every veterinary professional barely holding it together with vet wrap and caffeine. Somewhere out there, another tech, vet, or assistant is deep in the same chaos, dodging poop, managing meltdowns, and wondering if they're the only one unraveling. You're not. Whether you're laughing, crying, or rage cleaning your truck, you've got a whole tribe behind you. You're unhinged, but never alone.